Good evening. We are going to go to 4.01. The board has reconvened from closed session. I will call for a motion to approve the closed session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Floyd. Is there any discussion about the closed session minutes? Yes, they will be kept confidential. All those in favor of approving the closed session minutes for March 11th and 25th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The closed session minutes are approved as presented. We'll move to 4.02, where I call for a motion to approve the April 15th personnel report.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Treadaway. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The personnel report is approved as presented. We'll move to 5.01 with the presentation of colors and our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Right. Hayes. Present. Colors.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Right. Hayes. Forward. March.
Presenting our nation's colors are members of our Northwest Cabarrus Air Force, JROTC, and their personnel includes commanded by Cadet Airman Dale, Cadet Airman First Class Burris, and Cadet Airman Ott. Thank you.
Thank you. Forward, we'll move to 6.01 where we will adopt the agenda. Before we adopt the agenda, we need to move 7.06, the Euro Challenge. We'll move that to our May 13th business meeting. I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the changes.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda with the changes.
I have a motion by Ms. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Floyd. Is there any discussion about the agenda, board members? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed? The agenda is approved as presented. We'll move to our recognitions with 7.01, our Impact Through Education Awards with Mr. Phil Furr. Welcome, Mr. Furr.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kapicki, good evening. Tonight we will present Impact Through Education Awards to students and staff at Weddington Hills Elementary School and Hickory Ridge Middle School. Our sponsors for the Impact Awards are our friends at Equitable. At this time, I would like to invite our Equitable representative, Emily Satterley, to join me at the front of the room. Before we get started with the awards, please accept our sincere thanks and gratitude to Equitable for its continued sponsorship of the Impact Through Education Awards. Tonight, we continue our 14th year of honoring those making an impact in our schools with this award. We appreciate your support and thank you for helping us celebrate and recognize deserving students and staff. We also want to say a word of thanks to our Cabarrus Regional Chamber of Commerce and Concord Trophy Center for providing us with the award plaques each month. Now on to tonight's awards. May I have the Weddington Hills Elementary School administrative team come forward, please. Our first honoree from Weddington Hills is Luke Caskey. Luke, please come forward with your family. Luke is a 5th grade student at Weddington Hills Elementary School. He is a natural leader that shows up to school every day ready to learn. He sets great examples for his peers on following the Wildcat way. He is always excited about learning and is constantly seeking knowledge in all aspects of his day. He works very hard in the classroom and outside of the building. Luke is very balanced. He's involved in several sports, flag football, basketball, AIG, and after-school clubs. Luke is a very quick-witted and loves a good joke. His AIG class does a daily thought, face, and joke, and he is always trying to solve them first. He is a well-rounded young man who enjoys a challenge both academically and outside of the classroom. He has such a bright future ahead. Congratulations, Luke. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Weddington Hills Elementary School. Our next honoree from Weddington Hills is Grace Zoe. Grace, please come forward with your family. Grace Zoe is one of Weddington Hills' 5th grade students. Grace came to WATS last year as a 4th grader. Grace has consistently maintained excellent grades. She is very hardworking and focused. Grace is always up for an academic challenge. She excels at developing strategies for problem solving, even when the concept is abstract. She perseveres and never hesitates to collaborate with others. Grace is a model student at Weddington Hills who exemplifies what it means to be a wildcat. She is respectful to all adults and her peers. She is also responsible because she does all her classwork and homework on time and always returns necessary items. Outside of school, Grace is part of a swimming program and is learning the Chinese language. She loves to draw and read in her free time. Congratulations, Grace. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Weddington Hills Elementary School.
Thank you for that. Really big smile. Great job.
Also from Weddington Hills is support staff member Jessica Nollmeyer. Ms. Nollmeyer, please come forward with your family. This is Ms. Nollmeyer's 3rd year working at Weddington Hills. Before becoming an employee, she served as a parent volunteer for 6 years, working with children in small groups and one-on-one. Jessica also served on the PTO board for 5 years, 2 of which were as its president. Ms. Nollmeyer has been a TA in kindergarten and 2nd grade until October of this school year when she moved to structured learning. Ms. Nollmeyer has 2 daughters, a 4th grader at Weddington Hills and a freshman at West Cabarrus. When Ms. Nollmeyer is not working, she is most likely at a soccer field watching her daughters play. Congratulations, Jessica. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner at Weddington Hills Elementary School. And finally, from Weddington Hills is teacher Ashley Dickerson. Ms. Dickerson, please come forward with your family. Ashley Dickerson graduated from UNC Charlotte with a BA in elementary education in 2006 and again with a master's in reading in 2013. In 2014, she earned her National Board Certification in Literacy and renewed that certification in 2023. In 2006, Ashley began teaching at Weddington Hills, where her titles included 5th grade teacher, 3 to 5 lead teacher, and MTSS coach up until September 2023. The start of this school year brought a huge awareness to her as an educator that has forever changed her path. In October 2023, Ashley filled one of 3 vacancies for a teacher in the structured learning classroom. She was nominated and voted as a recipient of the Impact Through Education Award by her colleagues for being a risk taker from the IB Learner Profile. The truth is, it takes a village to make even the most distinguished, experienced teachers such as Ashley feel successful as a teacher of students with autism. Ashley has found herself surrounded by an amazing village, including the Weddington Hills admin team, that has supported, encouraged, and guided her to grant her the ability to have excelled as much as she has in this new endeavor. When she is not at school, Ashley enjoys spending time at the beach, playing with her 3 young boys, 2 dogs, and 4 chickens, and visiting her parents at the lake. Congratulations, Ashley. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Weddington Hills Elementary.
Great job.
We will now continue with our April Impact Through Education Awards by welcoming Hickory Ridge Middle School. May I have the Hickory Ridge administrative team come forward, please. Our first honoree from Hickory Ridge Middle School is Bella Beverly. Bella, please come forward with your family. Bella is an incredible student and classmate. She goes out of her way to welcome new students and ensure that all students are included in their school environment. She is a member of the Beta Club, captain of the wrestling team, and honor roll student. Bella partners with Brendan in the special needs classroom, as he is also adept at providing a positive, supportive hand in the classroom. The students absolutely adore Bella, and Bella adores them. Her patience and maturity stretch beyond her years. Bella has an incredible ability to adjust and adapt in the moment, which is on par or better than some adults who serve similar populations. The classroom teacher brags on Bella daily for her ability to assist in the classroom with lessons, small group supports, and in her ability to spread kindness in the classroom. The students receive a smiling, kind demeanor even in the face of challenging situations, and her calming presence does more for those students and the staff than she can ever truly know. Bella is just simply special. Congratulations, Bella. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Hickory Ridge Middle School.
It is kind of a big deal. Congratulations.
Our next honoree from Hickory Ridge is Brendan Hawkins. Brendan, please come forward with your family. Brendan has been a peer helper for special education students the past 2 years. Brendan goes above and beyond for all students with disabilities. Brendan leads lessons. He's helped brainstorm behavioral interventions. He celebrates students' successes and makes even our most nonverbal students smile with his love for them. Brendan has strong powers of observation and can mimic the teacher in support of what the kids need at all times. At times, he also anticipates needs even as the teacher is seeing them too. Brendan truly makes an impact in a classroom community that has the highest level of needs. Even when our students are having a difficult time, he does not shy away from helping them. He is available for class during his lunchtime and his own break time. Any opportunity he finds in the day, he comes down to support the class or spends time with the students. He finds solutions to help the classroom become a better learning environment. We cannot begin to list all that Brendan does for our students with special needs, but the most important thing that should be highlighted is that he cares for them and celebrates them. Brendan hopes to become a special education teacher in his future, and we all hope to continue to highlight what a calling it is for him. There is no other like Brendan. Congratulations, Brendan. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Hickory Ridge Middle School. Next from Hickory Ridge is staff member Rhonda Ritchie. Ms. Ritchie, please come forward with your family. Rhonda Ritchie serves as the treasurer for Hickory Ridge Middle School. She has been in this position for the past 5 years. Ms. Ritchie joined CCS as a substitute teacher in 2011. Ms. Ritchie joined the staff at Hickory Ridge Middle School in 2016 and took on various roles in that time before becoming treasurer. As the school treasurer, Ms. Ritchie has a tremendous responsibility that most people can't appreciate. She must monitor all things associated with school finance, but also the leave and timesheets of nearly 100 employees at the school. Ms. Ritchie executes her role with high attention to detail, fidelity to all the rules associated, and always working in the best interest of the school and the district. In her free time, Ms. Ritchie loves to hike in the mountains and travel. She also enjoys spending free time with her husband and visiting with her 2 adult sons any chance she gets. Congratulations, Rhonda. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Hickory Ridge Middle School. And finally, from Hickory Ridge is teacher Lindsay Crudelli. Ms. Crudelli, please come forward with your family. Lindsay Crudelli is in her 8th year of teaching health and PE at Hickory Ridge Middle School. Ms. Crudelli's favorite part of being a teacher is getting to know the students because, as she puts it, it gives her the opportunity to build lasting and positive relationships. Outside of the classroom, she enjoys coaching school and travel softball, girls basketball, and girls track and field. Additionally, she is involved in supporting Hickory Ridge Middle's SAVE Club, Students Against Violence Everywhere. She serves on the school's Sunshine Committee that recognizes peers and as a mentor to new teachers. Lastly, when she's not a maverick at home, she enjoys spending time with her husband Sam and their 2 families, 2 dogs, and any chance she gets to take in a sporting event or outside activity. Congratulations, Lindsay. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Hickory Ridge Middle School. This concludes our Impact Awards presentations for tonight. Congratulations to all our recipients, and thanks again to our partners, Equitable and the Cabarrus Chamber of Commerce, for your partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Furr. We'll move to 7.02 with our Hillbush Ford Teacher of the Month with Dr. Michael Williams. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Kopicki, and to our viewing audiences, both here and those watching the live stream. It is my pleasure to recognize our Hillbush Ford Teacher of the Month for April. We always want to begin with expressing our sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. Tim Vaughn and Hillbush Ford for their tremendous generosity and continued sponsorship of this wonderful recognition program. Our Hillbush Ford Teacher of the Month for April is Susan Grella, a pre-K teacher at the Mary Frances Wall Center. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Grella and family and the Mary Frances Wall administrative team in attendance to please come forward. Tonight, I would like to share the nomination submitted by a parent about Ms. Grella. Ms. Susan has consistently outworked and overdone every responsibility of her position as a pre-K teacher. She creates a classroom environment that our daughter has flourished in and looks forward to every day. In Ms. Susan's class, our daughter has grown in confidence and enjoyed wonderful relationships with her peers. Ms. Susan is clearly never complacent with her work despite her years of experience, and she is always trying new, dynamic activities with her class. She does not underestimate what her students are capable of. In our opinion, she strikes the perfect balance between supporting and pushing her students toward new challenges and successes, even at their young ages. Additionally, there cannot be a teacher in the county who does a better job of creating open lines of communication between home and school than Ms. Susan. I feel like I am in the classroom with my daughter each day because of the comprehensive manner of Ms. Susan's communication strategy. Also, Ms. Susan's former TA, Ms. Treadwell, is now our son's awesome teacher at Mary Frances, and I believe this is further proof of Ms. Grella's influence on her entire school community. Ms. Susan is clearly a great asset for our school system, and we feel blessed that our daughter was placed into her care. Ms. Grella, thank you for the impact you have made to teach, engage, and inspire the students in your classroom. Congratulations on your selection as Cabarrus County Schools Hillbush Ford Teacher of the Month.
Okay, board members, we'll move to 7.03, our Everyday Hero Award winner with Dr. Jonathan Bowers and Ms. Stephanie Allman. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Kopicki. Ms. Allman could not be with us tonight due to a scheduling conflict, but we are fortunate to have Ms. Jamala Sampson here with us tonight, one of our field supervisors from Child Nutrition. If I could have Ms. Raquel Rodriguez and any special guest accompanying her to join us down front, please. It is my pleasure to stand before you tonight and introduce this month's Everyday Hero Award recipient. Sponsored by the Great Wolf Lodge, the Everyday Hero Award is intended to acknowledge the outstanding, behind the scenes, above and beyond, and sometimes often overlooked work of our operations team personnel. This award is presented monthly to an exceptional employee within auxiliary services. This includes our facilities and maintenance divisions, Kids Plus, school nutrition, and transportation. Nominations for the award themselves are submitted by Cabarrus County Schools employees, students, and parents. And each month, one recipient is selected to be recognized at the Board of Education business meeting. This month's recipient of the Everyday Hero Award is Ms. Raquel Rodriguez, cafeteria manager at Carl A. Fur Elementary School. Joining me here tonight is Ms. Sampson, who is going to speak on behalf of Ms. Allman and share why Ms. Rodriguez is truly the embodiment of an Everyday Hero Award, and she is well deserving of this month's award.
Ms. Rodriguez joined CCS in the middle of the pandemic and quickly set to work to learn everything she could about the school nutrition program. She began as a part-time school nutrition assistant and rapidly worked her way up. At the beginning of this school year, she was selected for SMP's Manager Trainee Program. This is the program that prepares school nutrition assistants for the additional responsibilities of cafeteria management. Many trainees remain in the program for 1 to 2 years as they learn the complex rules of providing USDA meals. Ms. Rodriguez quickly displayed qualities that made her stand out to her supervisors. We noted that she was especially adept at decision making, possessed outstanding work ethic, and immediately embraced the transition to a managerial role. Just last week, she was named the new S&P manager at Carl A. Fur Elementary School. Congratulations to this month's Everyday Hero, Raquel Rodriguez.
We'll move to 7.04 with our fall and winter state champions with Mr. Brian Tyson. Good evening.
Y'all come up here in front. Y'all can come with me if you want to. I can use all the help I can get. Good evening, board members and Dr. Kopicki. We're here to celebrate our winter state champions this year. A lot of times we take for granted state championships, but there have been many years that we haven't had any. And here lately, we've just had an abundance of state champions. And so there's a lot of great things going on with Cabarrus County School student athletes and their coaches. So we're here to honor them tonight. First of all, we had 7 individual state champions for this winter and 1 team champion. We're going to do the individuals obviously first, and then we'll bring the team state champion in. First, I'd like to recognize Colton Campbell. He is a junior at Hickory Ridge High School. Colton won the 4A wrestling championship in the 165-pound weight class. Colton was undefeated this year with a 61-0 record. So congratulations, Colton, on a job well done. Second, we have Cameron Goo, who is just a sophomore at Mount Pleasant High School. Cameron had an outstanding year. He won the 2A state championship at the 106-pound weight class, and he was 44-3 as a sophomore. Congratulations, Cameron. The next 2 guys here did some amazing things. They are both 3-time state champions. That is amazing for any sport. But first of all, I have David McEachern, who is a senior at Mount Pleasant High School, better known as D-Mac in this neck of the woods. He is the winner of the 2A 144-pound weight class this year. Like I said, 3-time state champion. He was 51-1 this season. He is 162-22 for his career. His current plans are to attend the Citadel next year and to continue his wrestling career. And another fact for D-Mac is that he had 108 pins in his career. So congratulations, David, on your another state championship. Next 3-time state champion winner, we had Charleston Baglio, who is a senior at Central Cabarrus High School. He won the 3A 138-pound weight class. Charleston was 42-1 this year, 132-5 for his career, and his plans are to attend Appalachian State University next year and to continue his wrestling career as well. So congratulations. And then we have quite the honor here of Bailey Nimer, who is a sophomore at Mount Pleasant High School. She is the first ever female state champion wrestler for Cabarrus County Schools. Bailey is a sophomore and won the 120-pound weight class, so congratulations, Bailey. Next, we have our indoor track state champion and the pole vault guru of North Carolina, that is Lily Houston. Lily is a senior at Northwest Cabarrus High School. She won the 3A pole vault with a winning record of 12 feet 3 inches. She is a 2-time state champion, a back-to-back indoor and outdoor winner. She was the #1 vaulter in all 4 of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association classifications. So ranked #1. She plans to attend High Point University next year and continue her pole vaulting career. And she plans to major in chemistry and dentistry. And I also would point out too that she is probably going to win another state championship here in about a month. So we'll have her down here again at the next year as well. Okay. Congratulations, Lily, on your championship. And last but not least, we have Abby Cronin, a junior at Central Cabarrus High School. She won hers in swimming in the 3A 100-yard backstroke, and she is also a 3-time state champion, 2 times as an individual and 1 time as a relay state champion. She has numerous school records. She has conference records in the 100 butterfly and the 100 backstroke. And I'd just like to ask you one thing, though, Abby. If you see me or even Dr. Kopicki swimming at the Y or the Sports Center, please don't make fun of how slow we are, okay? Because I'm sure you can blister us. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to you winning another one next year. These are individual state champions, and we'd like to congratulate you for what you do both on the court, in the fields, in the pool, and also in the classroom, and the way you represent our community. Thank you very much. If you guys will go this way. You guys may not be able to see over the basketball team. I might have to take a knee. If y'all can give me a little bit of gap so we can see the board so they can be on TV. Slide on over here a little bit. Okay, they're good. Okay. They get enough coverage, right?
Actually, you guys can
I can understand that, Mr. Floyd. In case you guys haven't heard, Central Cabarrus has had a pretty good basketball team the last couple of years. So we are here to celebrate their back-to-back state championships. And let me just say, this has been a fun team to watch. I hate that ride has ended. I'm sure that Coach Baker and his assistant coaches will put together something good again next year. But you guys have been so fun to watch. I don't know how many games I have seen of yours the last 2 or 3 years, and every one of them has been exciting as can be. So I have personally enjoyed it. And not only just watching you play basketball, but watching how you conduct yourself on and off the court. You guys are easy to pull for, because you're all really, really good kids. And that means a lot to me as athletic director and all the other folks in the community as well. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the way you represent our county and our school system. So that being said, back-to-back state championships, 33-0 this year, 32-0 last year, a 3-year record of 95-1. A 4-year record of 107 wins and only 3 losses. Amazing. I don't know if we'll ever see that again in this county. That is quite a 4-year run. Currently hold the nation's longest winning streak at 65 consecutive games. And in the last 2 years, they have led the country in scoring. So amazing group, guys, and congratulations on that. I would like to call each person out by name, and if you'll just raise your hand when I call you out. A couple folks couldn't be in attendance tonight because they had some spring sports going on, but I do have with me tonight Chase Daniel, Jake Baker, Amari Russell, couldn't be here, Josh Dalton, Cavante Martin, Noah Edmiston, Carson Daniel, Caden Smith, Julius Pickett couldn't be here. Larquise Burst-Jones, Camden Lowry, DJ Desmond Kent, and I would like to say about DJ. DJ won the MVP of the state championship game both years. I think Mr. Shue has the statue ready to go in front of the school, okay? It'll be here in about a month. So we also have, couldn't be here tonight, Dexter Montaki, Shinwa Azebo, and Infant Morrow could not be here. But Coach Baker, I'd like to recognize him. Coach, come on up here and I'm going to get you to say a few things about the team. First, before Coach Baker speaks, I'd like to recognize his assistant coaches in Jory Curry, Mike Glover, Courtney Foster. Appreciate the time that you guys give to these folks as well. Coach Baker, I want him to say a few words about this special group before we close. Coach?
I'm standing here trying to figure out how those assistant coaches lost those 3 games. I don't know what they did, but no, they're really good guys, and I'm thankful that I have them, and I'm also so thankful that I have these young men part of our program. I know you guys sit up there and you battle problems every day, and you know, I'm in schools and I see, things you sometimes bite your tongue about, but this is what's right, and they're good kids. Raise your hand if you know where the control room is. One. Okay. They're just great kids, and they don't cause any trouble to teachers. They're so polite. They do what they're supposed to do. They're really good students. Majority of them are in our STEM program. Several of the other ones should be in our STEM program, but they're what is right with high school schools. And I'm so proud of them. I appreciate the board taking the time to recognize us, and we're going to throw it up next year and see if we can win a few more. But this is a special group over the last couple of years that blessed to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. If you'll come down here and file around and shake each board member's hands.
I really had no choice.
I feel like we need to have a band to play right now. So awesome. Okay, we will move to 7.05, our recognitions for school counselor, social worker, and psychologist of the year, practitioners with Dr. Mary Beth Roth. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Kapicki. On behalf of the Student Services Department, I'm very excited to share we have a new yearly recognition for our school instructional support personnel, also known as CISP. So this includes our school counselors, social workers, and school psychologists. So we are going to get started by recognizing our CCS Counselor of the Year first, and I'd like to ask John Basilis, our Director of School Health and Wellness, to come forward.
And I'd like to ask Kimberly Stiffel and her family and program coordinator to come up. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm delighted to highlight Kimberly Stiffel of Cox Mill Elementary School. And I'm realizing I've started before they've gotten up here. So that's how eager I am to have them recognize her. So I am delighted to highlight Kimberly Stiffel of Cox Mill Elementary School as Cabarrus County Schools' first ever school counselor of the year. Kimberly's kind spirit exudes a positive energy that motivates and inspires her students and her peers. Her genuine love for school counseling is evident in her practice, in her conversations, in everything that she does, especially when she's speaking about her students. Kimberly not only plays a vital role in the Cox Mill Elementary Student Services team, but also stands out as a true leader for her colleagues throughout the district. Kimberly embodies the core values of a school counselor and embraces the priorities of Cabarrus County Schools. During PLC meetings, she consistently introduces fresh perspectives and willingly supports fellow counselors in implementing innovative ideas, especially as it helps our students do better. Kimberly's dedication and collaborative spirit makes her a true asset to her school, her community, the CCS school counseling team, and to the profession at large. Kimberly, congratulations.
Next, we are going to recognize our District School Social Worker of the Year, and I'd like to ask Amy Jewell, our Director of Student and Family Support, to come forward.
Thank you, Dr. Roth, and good evening, board members. Thank you for having us here tonight. I would like to invite Mr. Doug Carr, his family, and Melissa Gallimore up here, please. It was very hard to only say a few sentences about Mr. Carr, and if you've ever worked with him, you would understand why. He is just phenomenal. So Mr. Carr is the School Social Worker of the Year, the first ever School Social Worker of the Year. And he is an exceptional mentor, advocate, and leader within Cabarrus County Schools. Mr. Carr is a champion for every student and family he serves, putting their best interests at the forefront of all he does. Mr. Carr always supports his colleagues, inspiring them to build relationships, take on new challenges, and do what is best for kids, no matter what it takes. Mr. Carr consistently goes above and beyond to support the success of his students, providing valuable services, resources, and wearing multiple hats, and sometimes wigs, and different kinds of 80s gear. Yes? Mm-hmm. when it's called for, yep. Mr. Carr has established enduring partnerships and works tirelessly to improve the well-being of our community every day. His compassionate nature, excellent sense of humor, and unwavering support for all he serves is second to none, and we are so grateful to have Mr. Carr as the Cabarrus County School Social Worker of the Year.
Oh, sorry.
Got it. Congratulations.
Now we are going to recognize our district school psychologist of the year, and I'd like to ask Amy Lauder, our Director of Student Safety and Wellbeing, to come forward.
Thank you. I would like to invite Sarah Osborne and her family, and then also Erin Banks, our School Psychological Services Coordinator. Tonight's School Psychologist of the Year award, the first ever, goes to Sarah Osborne. Sarah has given so much to Cabarrus County Schools over the years. She's been part of many district-level programs and systems changes throughout her 30-year career with Cabarrus County Schools. Yes, 30 years. Sarah has dedicated her entire professional career to Cabarrus County Schools. She plans to retire this year and spend more time with her amazing family standing up here with her tonight. Sarah is very well respected throughout the entire district, being sought out for advice and guidance from people of all domains of practice. Over the years, Sarah has consistently adapted to changes. She's pushed herself to learn more as a school psychologist, keeping a constant focus on doing what is best for children, and all the while, consistently making us laugh with her sense of humor. The impact of Sarah's work on coworkers, parents, and students on her campuses has been tremendous for our Cabarrus County Schools community over 3 decades. It is with great honor and celebration that we present tonight the School Psychologist of the Year Award to Ms. Sarah Osborne.
Board, we'll move to 8.01, approval of our minutes. I need a motion to approve the open session minutes for March 11th and 25th, 2024.
So moved.
I need a second. I have a motion by Ms. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Floyd. Is there any discussion about the minutes meeting minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving these minutes say aye. Aye. Opposed? The open session minutes are approved as presented. We'll move to 9.01 with board chair comments. Just that we will have a legislative meeting on April the 22nd. The public is invited to come to that. We will be meeting with our legislators, and we'll be talking about the top priorities that we have as a school system for our North Carolina legislative panels. So I hope that you can come out to that. It'll be from 6 to 7:30. I'll move to 9.02 with superintendent comments with Dr. John Kopicki.
Thank you, Mrs. Adcock. Today, our district was proud to welcome our state senators, Paul Newton, Todd Johnson, and our state representatives, Kevin Crutchfield and Diamond Stanton Williams, to Cabarrus County for the second annual Bring Your Legislator to School Day. I'd like also to thank our board and especially all of the board members that were able to be there today and help out. I appreciate that support and for your time this afternoon and this morning and walking through our schools of Mount Pleasant, Cox Mill, Northwest, Cox Mill Elementary, Harrisburg Elementary, and Wyckoff Elementary, as well as Hickory Ridge Middle School. So to all of you, we say thank you. And it was good for our legislators because they were able to see firsthand the good things that are going on in Cabarrus County as we continue to advocate for public education on the state level. Talking to teachers, principals, and students directly shows our legislators firsthand the impacts of their decisions. Our hope is that experiencing a day in the classroom and seeing the needs of our students lets them make informed choices when they are voting in the future. I want to thank our administration, our staff, and our students, for all of you for participating in schools and welcoming all of us to your facilities today to allow us to see the best that public education has to offer. Last week, I was able to attend our Hispanic Family Resources Night at Winkler Middle School that was attended by several hundred parents and families. It was an incredible event, and I want to congratulate our Student Services Department for once again hosting this amazing event and for our community. Thank all of the community groups in attendance for all that you do, and we want to thank our students and families again of Cabarrus County for coming out to this wonderful event. Also last Friday night, the Youth Art Month celebration at Gibson Mill was held. I was able to be there for the beginning of that. Took me about an hour to get out of there because I couldn't walk through the crowd. But it's an incredible display of the talent and the skills that go on. And Bart Tolbert and our art teachers and our music and the performances that took place, the performances by Royal Oaks that took place out back. And I know Mr. LeGrand was there, and he acknowledged and recognized everyone, and I'd like to thank him for that. But the display was just beautiful. The performances were beautiful. It's just such a great event because it sheds the talent. It shows the talent that exists in this system, and it's, I always say we talk about access to resources and opportunities for our kids, and that's another example of it. There is nothing that a child could want in the school system that they cannot pursue if they so desire to do so. And that's a credit, and I commend the board because without all of you, events like this, they do not happen. And it's your support and your decisions that continue to advocate for these events that make us such a wonderful school system. So I thank you for that as well. A reminder that on April 24th, Cabarrus County Schools will host its second annual Student and Family Mental Wellness Forum at J.M. Robinson High School from 5 to 8 p.m. This event will open with keynote speaker Michelle Gay. We will also have a provider fair, including 20-plus community mental health and wellness partners for students and their families to learn about resources that are available to them. And we'll also have food trucks there and activities for school-age children. So for more information, if you visit our website, you can find it there. Last two things, our parent engagement survey is active and live. We've had over 4,000 visitors to the site. I would just encourage everyone when you get on there to please complete the survey. We do understand it's a little lengthy. That's some of the feedback that we've received, and we are aware of that. And that's why these surveys exist, to get your feedback and get your input. So I encourage all of you to please respond to that. That information is valuable to us as we continue to plan for the future and make sure that we're hearing what our community is saying. And then lastly, again, it is April 15th, but on May 18th, our early college will graduate. Hard to believe we're 4 weeks away from graduation. May 22nd, our PLC and our virtual academy will graduate, and then on May 23rd and 24th at the Cabarrus Arena, our high schools will graduate. So those dates and those events are coming upon us quickly, and I thank everyone who has had a hand in getting all of our students to that particular moment in time that we all get to celebrate watching them graduate across the stage. It's the pinnacle of all the things that we do, and it's an exciting time for us here and for everybody out in our community. So please stay tuned and get ready to graduate. We're all excited about that upcoming event, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to 9.03 with our board attorney comments. Do you have anything to share, Mr. Middlebrooks?
Not tonight, Madam Chair. We are still waiting on the Title IX revisions, and it looks like it'll be summer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, it's time for guest speakers to address the board. It is now time for public comment. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak, and an individual speaking for a group may be allowed up to 5 minutes at the discretion of the board chair to express interest and concerns related to the official business of the board and school district. The speakers will be called in the order in which we received the request. A person may not be substituted for a speaker, nor may one speaker donate time to another speaker. If a speaker runs out of time, then the speaker may leave additional information with the board clerk. Statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. Any limitation on public comments shall be viewpoint neutral. The board chair has the authority to rule the speaker out of order. If a speaker or attendee willfully interrupts, disrupts, disturbs this meeting and refuses to leave after being asked by the board chair, then the speaker may be escorted out and could be arrested for trespassing or disturbing an official meeting. Board members will not respond to individuals who address the board except to request clarification of points made by the presenter. I want to remind our speakers that comments on specific personnel matters or specific student matters can be and should be made through the district's grievance and appeal procedures and not during a public comment time. With that being said, I'll start with our first speaker is Mr. Paul Wanish. Good evening, Mr. Wanish.
Good evening. Excuse me. Start my timer. Good evening to the board members and Dr. Kopecki. I'm speaking about the board policy 5070, public records, and this also references North Carolina statute 132, public records, as well as policy 5071 for electronically stored information retention. The board's policy on public record initially was adopted in 2001 and states, the board is committed to provide the proper and legal access to public records and public information. The North Carolina General Statute 132 reads, in part, public records shall mean all documents, paper, letters, electronic data processing records, or other document materials made or received in connection with the transaction of public business. It goes on to say the public records and the public information compiled by the agencies are the property of the people. That means everybody in this room, everybody in this county, everybody in this state, frankly. The state does not provide the board the protection options afforded to other private schools such as canon schools or charter schools. There are exceptions for personally identifiable information, PII, and then classified as confidential information. The remainder of the information is still public record after the district removes the confidential information before it's presented back to the requester. After addressing the board in last September, Ms. Standage asked if I had gotten what the information I'd been requested. At the time, I had said I was working through the system. Since then, in 7 months, all but 2 of the 16 requests have been addressed. 2 of them came back today. In my opinion, the board and the superintendent have failed to comply with the New York State law. I offer a root cause for the problem. There are not policies and practices for how confidential information is classified. Therefore, it seems that every employee in the school district could have access to all the personal information, which again would be a different violation. Remediation would be defined as confidential information definition. So some process for how to identify confidential information. Do that in 60 days, and then appropriately mark all documents containing the information. Then deliver the appropriate information as asked. I worked in industry for a long time. There were very specific rules on confidential. It was all stamped on documents, and all the documents had confidential if information was contained in them. And that policy is something that really needs to be in place. I asked for records. I asked for the policy or the procedure for how to classify things as confidential, and it has not been returned. I'm not sure you have one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ryan Dayvault. Mr. Dayvault here. Our next speaker is Courtney Steinberg. Welcome, Ms. Steinberg.
Thank you. Good evening. So I'm going to go a little off script today. I did prepare one, but I don't really like it. I just want to say I'm really thankful that this hell year is almost over. It has been horrible, and I think you need to understand why. First, you've already heard about the pulling of our principal with no communication. That was transition number 10 or so that we had throughout our first part of our year with leadership at our school. During that time, we still never heard from our superintendent or any of his direct staff, despite requests from the parents. After that, February 14th, so we had asked who would be in our school, and we were never told. So on February 14th, a lot of us first grade parents happened to be at the school for an event, and our chief HR officer came over the intercom and made some statements. He instructed teachers to make sure everyone was quiet and paying attention. He went on to make a few remarks, which many of us parents took as condescending towards us, our children, and the teachers, and then proceeded to introduce our new interim principal over the intercom. No assembly, no in-person meeting, no bio sent to parents until the end of the day. My child had no clue who his new principal was for several days. I did happen to meet Miss Rod that day, I think probably because I'm an outspoken parent, and they wanted to make sure that I knew who she was. And I was pretty hopeful that things would get back to normal, but at the scheduled sit team meeting that week, she still didn't have access, and at this point, we have not had another scheduled sit team meeting that I have been made aware of. That is a direct violation of your policy. Fast forward to the start of spring break, when I received information that our long-term sub that was in his school, in his classroom, was going to be removed. That was not communicated through the principal. It was communicated through some grapevine daisy chain things that we understood. I got together a group of 20 plus parents over spring break on a virtual meeting with our principal to discuss our concerns around changing 10 weeks before the end of the school year. Our concerns were dismissed, and we were told that because our long-term sub was not licensed, although she was in school, that she could not be in that classroom. Now, you heard last week, we are a restart school, and that is not true. Now, this week we received communication about field day. Field day last year, parents were invited who had a background check and involved, and it was a blast. And we were told we are not allowed to be there this year. Y'all, this is a chain of inability to communicate and pushing the parents out of the school. I will direct you to your own policy, number 1310 and 1320 around parent and family engagement. These are direct violations of your policy. Thank God we have less than a month, around a month left. I am ecstatic to see next year come, and I hope that during the summer you do something to change this. I'll end with a quote from a board member here, that engagement is not a website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for clarity, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what a SIT team is?
Your strategic initiatives team.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Greg Crawford. Good evening.
Good evening. So I have Rochelle, I'm Greg Crawford, and I serve on the board with Cabarrus County Education Foundation, and I have Rochelle Logan and Catherine Thomas giving you some handouts. I will not be going through those page by page. I'm just going to give you a summary of some of the things that we're involved with. Sam Treadaway is our liaison with the Board of Education. Thank him for doing that. But we're presenting to you tonight what is being shared with Cabarrus County, the Cabarrus County County Commissioners. We want you to be informed about the same information for our Reading for Success program. Just want you to know what is going on, and we appreciate that. Cabarrus County Education Foundation was formed in 2001 by Grace Minot and Roy Davis of S&D Coffee to ensure that our children have the highest quality of education we can provide to meet the demands of the world our Cabarrus County schools children will be living in. No skill is vital to personal development, academic success, and late lifetime achievement than reading. In 2020, the district approached Cabarrus County Education Foundation asking if we would take on developing a reading tutoring program utilizing community volunteers to assist students who were behind. The Reading Mentoring for Success program was developed based on the latest research and highly successful tutoring programs to create a love for reading, because when they love reading, then they're on a path to academic and life success. 3 elements encourage this. Pleasure reading is one element, Bookapalooza is the other one, and access to books at home library, and still be able to read proficiently. And through our Strive and Read program, and I'll talk more about those in just a moment. Results, that's what's all important. What are the results? Well, I would say that through our Strive and Read program, 80% of our students met or exceeded growth in their reading program. This comes from the mentees. 61% of mentees versus 36% of all students moved up past their standard in proficiency in reading. 85% of mentors say they were good readers versus 61% of all the students last year. So this is what they feel. They felt they're better readers than 61% of it from last year. 85% of the teachers said the students that are in the program are more confident in the class. 100%, that's 100% of the teachers wish that more of their students could be involved in this program. Last school year, we had 41 first and second graders participating at Wolf Meadow and Rocky River elementary schools. We had 70 plus volunteers and mentors. Now, I'm a volunteer, not only a board, but I'm a volunteer. I've been involved with the program since it started 3 years ago. Let me tell you what, it's a joy to do this. The kids come in, they hardly know what they're doing in reading, and they're at their level. You spend week after week, I was doing 2 a week and then 1 a week. You get to know these kids, and you can tell, you can see how they develop, and they get excited about it. They're going through and they're advancing through their books. It's fantastic. And it hurts when last week I had to tell my student, this is going to be our last day being here. You always see that kind of like drop. You're like, oh, man. So it's a lot of excitement, a lot of behind it. But I just know it's great joy. You can be a board member, but also I like to be a working board member and be involved in the program, and it's great. We've had 1,091 tutoring sessions last school year. 5,805 books were given out to the home libraries through our Bookapalooza events. All the kids come to school. We have mascot dress-ups, and we mass distribute all these books to these kids. They get to take home, and they're their books. So this is yours. You get to keep it. And they are so excited. This year, students, we've had 50 students in first and second grades at Patriots Elementary and Wolf Meadow Elementary. 70 plus volunteers. 790 sessions have been held through February of 2024. And we've had 3 Bookapalooza events, and we've given out 4,765 books during those events. Fantastic event. And I would just say that we want you to be informed of the program that we are doing and the difference that we are making in kids' lives. And the difference these kids feel when they come out is such a pleasure. One year I had the pleasure of getting the cousin of the one I had the first year. I didn't know that, but they shared with me that. But they share stories with you. They tell you about what they're doing. They tell you about what they're reading, what they like, who their favorite characters are. And this is a great program to be involved with. So I want you to be involved and know what we're sharing with the county commissioners tonight at Cabarrus County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I have a question for clarity, please. I wanted to understand, you said 100% of the teachers wish that they can have the program in their school. Is there a reason that they can't? Like, what's stopping that?
So the principals of the school make a decision if they want to be participating in the program. And then so it's up to the individual school leaders to make that decision if they want to, because they sign up in advance so we kind of know how many students we're going to be having, so we can base upon the volunteers and assign mentees to our programs. That's what's involved. So but all of them have the opportunity to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next speaker is Chantel Berry. Welcome, Ms. Berry.
Thank you.
Good evening. Giving acknowledgement to Board Chair, Madam Adcock, Vice Chair Treadaway, board members on the roster, and Superintendent Kapicki. The 3-year implementation of our 2022-2025 Cabarrus County Schools Strategic Plan is rapidly approaching a community review. It is my hope that the selection of this review team is intentional and diverse to provide critical feedback needed within all 6 priority areas. As a 2022 diversity hire here for Cabarrus County Schools, priority 3 is currently the most concerning for me and has the largest opportunity for growth towards meeting the following objectives. Objective 1, foster innovative recruitment, retention, and mentorship policies and strategies to attract and develop a diverse talent pipeline, drawing from both internal and external candidate pools. Objective 2, ensure job postings and interview protocols have been systematized to support the vision and the goals. Objective 3, support continual growth by monitoring data, collecting feedback from staff, and intentionally developing professional learning designed to create a culture of belonging. And Objective 4, collaborate with local universities and institutions on articulated goals and strategies for educator talent, eliminating barriers for all potential educators. In less than 2 years, I have served in roles on 3 campuses, one that I did not interview for and began as a demoted offer without explanation, 2 that I never received contracts for or proper onboarding, and 1 that I still currently did not agree to. Following my promotion in November 2022, I was denied a contract simply stating that I don't need one. After multiple requests, the contract was provided to me over a year later in December 2023. I have not been given the courtesy of a call to engage with the superintendent or our Cabarrus County Schools Board Chair. I was stripped
Hold
from my
on just a
role
minute,
on
please.
February 7th.
Please hold. Mr. Middlebrooks, can you speak to what she's talking about now?
Yeah, Ms. Berry, you're now going into your individual personnel circumstances, which is out of bounds for public comment time.
No problem.
You have filed grievances with the board. Those will be heard. You will, as you know, you have an attorney. The board district has an attorney. It will be addressed through that process.
That process was delayed. So am I permitted to continue?
No, ma'am.
I will
Well,
finish.
you have to ask the board chair because I'm not the board chair, but.
Madam Board Chair, that process was delayed in violation of the Cabarrus County Schools policy.
Unfortunately, if you continue, nobody on this board is going to be able to hear your grievance.
I will skip that part.
So
May I continue with the rest of?
If it has nothing to do with you and your personnel and working here, does it?
No,
Okay.
it does not. Cabarrus County Schools has an opportunity to improve in this area if there is a willingness to hold this conversation with appropriate stakeholders. And it is my hope that a deeper diversity and equity study can be completed to address the need for sounder practices in our growing county. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to our next speaker, Autrice Marin. Marin.
Good afternoon. Public speaking is not my thing, so just bear with me, please. As you stated, my name is Autrice Marin, and for the past almost 10 years, I've been a parent of children attending Weinkauf Elementary. I have for many years of experience with the staff at this school and being a part of this school's community. Prior to Ms. Berry coming to our school and being our principal, it was my experience that it was hard to get folks to speak with you or to simply give you a call back. And even when you did finally get to speak with someone, they just told you enough to get you off the phone or out of their office. There was no follow through, and I felt that many times that no one cared or heard my concerns. So when Ms. Berry became our principal at Weinkauf, I was not expecting anything less than what I experienced before. However, from my first phone call with her, she was different. She stayed on the phone with me for almost an hour and listened to my concerns and the needs of my children. She asked if I'd be willing to give her an opportunity and partner with her, and I answered yes. And in all my years of working with this school, this was the best yes I've ever given. She immediately got to work And with her help, I was able to get an IEP established for my child and put accommodations in place and services for her like speech that have really made a difference for my child. Ms. Berry sat beside me in my IEP meeting and made sure my voice was heard and I was comfortable and that I understood. She would check in often to see how things were going. And even when my child would have rough days, she was there to encourage both of us and help us move forward. My children and I have grown to really trust her and know that she's there to help them and help our family and support us. She followed through and she was consistent. For years prior of asking for help and getting nowhere, I felt helpless and ignored. She was the one person who, after asking for help, made me feel heard and empowered. Any parent that has a child that learns a little differently than others, you know how sweet it is when you see your child overcome and succeed. And with Ms. Berry's help, my child is doing just that. I'm truly thankful for her and the work that she has done. But for my family, we don't want her work to be done at Weinkauf. Other parents and families need to experience her help, support, and leadership that she brings to Weinkauf. She is truly changing the experiences that we had at Weinkauf and made it a positive experience for us, and she's changing the lives of families. I shared all that to say Weinkauf deserves to have a principal that listens. Weinkauf deserves to have a principal that follows through, and Weinkauf deserves a principal that truly cares. Weinkauf deserves a principal like Ms. Berry. We deserve her. I'd like to piggyback off the young lady that spoke earlier. We were not informed of our new principal. It seemed like Ms. Berry just disappeared and then somebody reappeared, and I still have yet to really know who this lady is. Our families deserve more than that. With Ms. Berry, we got communication, we got support. She helped me. I had no idea what an IEP was, but she was able to help me walk through that process with my child, and now my child is thriving. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Giovanna Wilson. Is Miss Wilson here? Okay. Well, we'll move on now to reports. 11.01, our board committee reports. Board members, do you have any committee updates to share? Mr. Floyd.
I have one on the, I guess this would be under school board visit. School visit committee. I had the opportunity to accept the invitation from Northwest Cabarrus High School for their STEM senior portfolio presentations from Ms. Gladden. And I just wanted to report on it because I was so impressed. Basically, the seniors present and demonstrate what they've learned throughout their 4 years at Northwest and the STEM Academy. I got to hear from a young man named Cole Healy. He was a hockey and a baseball player and DECA, member of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And through STEM, he began an internship where he actually reached out to a NHL player, sent him a message on Instagram to help him with this mobile app where they you get the app, you want to find a pickup ball game, you put in your location and it tells you everywhere around it's got a pickup game going, and he helps to get this app out to campuses and neighborhoods and things like that. I was just supremely impressed with Cole Healy, and I wanted to take a second to highlight him because he was just incredible. And you hear a lot of talk about kids these days and young people these days and technology these days. Well, I mean, I was a pretty good kid in high school, but we weren't doing anything like Cole Healy was doing at Northwest Cabarrus. And I think that a big shout out to that young man and that school, and not just him. There were a lot of great kids. I just happened to sit down for his presentation. It was really fantastic. If you get a chance to ever go to any of these, I encourage everybody to do it. And I do want to make sure to thank them for the invitation as well.
Thank you. Any other reports? Mr. Treadaway?
This is not really a report, but just wanted to make everybody aware that Wednesday and Thursday is Special Olympics at the arena. Wednesday is middle school through adults, and Thursday is the elementary students. And the opening ceremonies on both days is at 10 o'clock. But if you've ever been there, you don't want to get there at 10 o'clock. You want to get there plenty early. So it's a terrific day.
Thank you. Ms. Escobar.
I just wanted to report on our interns. We had our service project, which was on Tuesday last week, which was helping volunteer and assist with the Hispanic Family Resource Fair, which was an amazing event. And Doug Carr, who was honored tonight, it that event and allowed us to work with him. And our interns did a fabulous job. They were serving food, greeting people. They also watched some kids, did crafts with them, or watched a movie with them. So they were a really big help for the event, and I appreciate them so much for all that they do. And speaking of this group of interns, they're going to be graduating and leaving us in May. And if you're interested in being an intern, so rising juniors and seniors, the application is open right now. You can find it on our website, and the deadline for that is April 22nd. The hope is that we will make our decision before the end of the year and send out a communication so that they're ready to go starting in August.
Thank you, Ms. Escobar. Okay, board members, we will move to our consent agenda. 12.01. So is there any discussion, board members, about anything that's on our consent agenda? We placed these on our consent agenda last week at our meeting. Okay, hearing no discussion, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Floyd, a second by Ms. Lindsay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. We'll move to our action items. We'll start with 13.01 is the adoption of our 2024-2025 budget with Mr. Penn. Good evening.
Good evening, board members.
Guys in the back, you got a remote to advance the slides?
Well, while we're waiting for that, I just want to give some public recognition. By my count, upwards of 150 people worked on the compilation of this budget. So tonight concludes 174 days from when we started. I actually counted them.
Wow.
So a lot of effort over that time frame to pull this together. But I just want to acknowledge all 150 people that participated. The CFO might be the public face of the budget, but there's a lot more people working on it behind the scenes. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to move fairly quickly through the material, knowing that you've seen a fair amount of this. Why don't we jump over to slide. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to jump ahead because I know you've seen this already. We are here at the very bottom of slide 5. Adoption meetings tonight. We should be transmitting to the county tomorrow. We meet with them, Dr. Kapicki and I, on the 18th, which is Thursday, and then we wait, as their adoption meeting's not until June 17th. So we have about a 2-month gap between when we present and we find out what our funding level is. So the one thing that did change on slide 8 I want to call your attention to, you may recall from the last meeting I had a conversation where I said 4.1 million was the increase from the county's perspective. Well, I finally figured out what they meant, and it was my error, and I admit to it. When you look at the box toward the bottom that's in the outline, that's really the piece that becomes local taxes, right? So when you look at what was appropriated to us for 23-24 was 81.7 million. The request for our continuation budget is 85.8. That translates to the $4.1 million increase and just over 5%, 5.04. That's the only change in the presentation from what you saw the last time we got together. So mostly for the benefit of the public that might be viewing this for the first time, and I will move fairly quickly. We're going to have 42 less certified staff in the budget for next year on local funds, with the majority of that shifting over to state-funded positions instead. We're looking at 3% increases across our classified staff, and of course you know that there's a second add-on piece that's in our expansion request for the classified salary study, but a total all in of 531 people on local funding for next year. We've talked quite a bit about the additional need for contracted services, what we're seeing for SRO costs, what we're seeing for drug testing, background checks, EC services, all of which are pointing us in the direction of a need of 5.7 million for next year. We've talked at a couple of meetings now about the rapid increase in electrical service costs, mostly due to the increases at Duke Energy. 6% increase on January 1st this year, 3% increase that's already been approved for January 1st of next year. Trying to make sure at the very bottom of the page that we have supplies and materials for the enrollment increase that we're projecting for next year. That takes us to the transportation item on the next slide. We pay about $500,000 a year to support program choice. The way the state tracks that data, it's not reimbursable by the state, and this is the first time we're actually putting it in as a documented item in our budgetary request for next year. So we're spending about $500,000 on it this year. We expect to spend about $500,000 on it next year as well. As you know, we've been talking about the need that we have for deferred maintenance around our school system. You'll see here what we're tracking for firearm repairs and inspections, general building repairs, and an increased need that we're projecting for both for next year. And that ties in very closely with the HVAC systems where we're making repairs there as well. We're anticipating spending about $420,000 this year and about $450,000 next year. So within that facilities and maintenance piece, an increase of just under $200,000 year to year. Technology, we've talked about the computers, and we're shifting most of the anticipated device refresh into our capital budget. We'll see that in a few seconds. The remaining piece that's on there is for the last computer release that we have due that's next year. But that's obviously rolling off by more than $900,000 from the current year's budget. Computer software, inflation there continues to outstrip the overall inflation rate by a multiple. So we're looking at about a $900,000 decline all in on the non-personnel pieces for technology. Expansion requests. Again, nothing has changed here. In our last meeting, we provided prioritization on our top two. Number one is to be able to implement the recommendations of the classified salary study at about $2.6 million. I'm going to go forward for a second because 2 and 3 are student safety related. The restraint training materials and the purchase of EpiPens, the tune of $34,000 combined between the two of them. Back to this page, the fourth priority we would have is for the certified supplement, being able to increase that by 1 percentage point from the current 12 to 13. And then the last one, those 3 software items collectively that impact a pretty significant amount of our students, if not almost all of them. Those are being lost through the federal funds that we have for ESSER this year, so we do need to find replacement funding for them. If we're not given this through the expansion budget, we're going to have to figure out where we're coming up for it elsewhere, because we do need to continue those programs. And that bracket, I'm realizing, is not where it should be. It should be closer to the 5. Okay. So total expansion request, including these frees and the one-time funds. You may recall I talked about how at the end of the 2023 year, the county appropriated us a special appropriation of $1.6 million. We froze that when we found out about the 23-24 deficit. By that point, we had already spent about $800,000 of it. The remaining $800,000 or so is coming back into an expansion request again for this year, next year, because, well, frankly, the need is still there. We just lost the funding for it and had to reprioritize where we had that funding. And in particular, I would call out a grade 3 to 8 English and Language Arts curriculum development for next year to get the standardization for curriculum for those grades into 24-25. As you may recall, there's 3 different tiers to our capital budget. Items that are generally less than $25,000, large projects that are between $25,000 and $499,000, and then lastly, our capital improvement plan, or CIP for short, where we've got big projects over $500,000. As I did mention in our last meeting, we did trim this list down to the $1,020,000 what we've seen in terms of funding from the county for the past, I think, 4 years now in a row. So it's a pretty consistent figure that they award us in their funding. And you'll see the 8 or so projects that are on that list that we anticipate and hope to be able to do in 24-25 with that funding. In total, there's somewhere around 800 projects between $25,000 and $499,000. When we talk about deferred maintenance in the district, this is one of the 2 pieces we're referring to. And if you take out the Coltrane Webb and Beverly Hills items that are on the list, you're still at roughly 800 projects and a total value of $175 million, give or take. Now, every year we're asked to put together our top 36 projects Within that space, you'll see the 12 different disciplines within the facilities areas across the top. The 3 projects that are listed below, each of those disciplines giving us a total of just about $7.9 million for those 36. And on the next 2 pages, we actually break out what the top 36 are in the order that we prefer to do them based on the recommendations of the facilities and maintenance team. 1 through 20 on this page, and 21 through 36, again tying back to that $7.9 million. There is typically, the county will give us an indication, we're funding through project, make up a number, 19 on the list, right? And that becomes what the basis is for what we take forward in this part of the capital budget for next year. Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion around the deferred maintenance and a lot of conversation, and I'm hopeful that we can do more than what's on this list going into next year. Which then brings us into the largest piece of the capital plan. It's the 3 construction projects that we've had some conversation about, the 2 new elementary schools at $50.6 million each. You'll see the anticipated cost increase for the Opportunity School. It was $7 million when it was originally spec'd out 4 years ago. Obviously, we've had a lot of construction cost increase and inflation over that time. The additional $2.5 million will get us to $9.5 in total and allow us to complete that project. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we were moving the student and staff computer refresh to the capital budget at $5 million. As I mentioned in one of the previous meetings, if we were to replace everything today, it's a little over $22 million to do it. So anticipating a device refresh cycle of somewhere between 4 and 5 years, we're going to need $5 million a year for the foreseeable future to continue that device refresh. Because I'm anticipating that 4 years from now, I'll be having the same conversation with you of replacing that same set of devices, right? So we want to try and get through, it's approximately 9,000 student devices and 1,000 staff devices for each year of the cycle. So total, sorry, I shouldn't have given you that. Total in the equipment space of $8.6 million. And I should mention that $1.3 million at the very bottom, that's for what's called Promethean boards. Similar to the computers, we're starting to see smart boards and TVs that they're getting to the end of their life cycle within our schools. Some of them are 10 or 12 years old. Working with the head of IT, we want to try and get to a point where we're starting to put those back on a refreshment cycle too. The line item price for each individual unit is about $3,000 if you count the device itself, any kind of wiring, and any kind of installation costs. So I would expect to see that there for some period of time now as well as we go forward. Capital improvement projects, again, this ties back into the deferred maintenance conversations that's been had over the past several months. You'll see the 10 projects that are the highest ranked according to our facilities and maintenance team, totaling $41.3 million. And you'll see Central Cabarrus at just about $9 million at the bottom. That was the one that was previously 11 that moved up to 10 on the list. Now, I know you've seen, and you will see in a little bit, the long-term facilities plan where Central Cabarrus is actually on that plan. But I think it's important to remember that that HVAC system is at the fail point already. We're probably at least 5 to 6 years out by the time that school will be replaced, and it uses a refrigerant that hasn't been manufactured since 2020. So it's becoming increasingly difficult to service that system. So I'm not going to get into detail on what can be harvested out of that HVAC, but I do know that there are things that would go forward when you do a replacement of that school, that they can be moved over from one school to the other. I'm thinking mostly rooftop units and those kind of things that would give you the opportunity to do that. But in total, the total ask for the capital improvement project is going to be $41.3 million. So tying it back out together, you'll see at the top the $85.8 million, that's our continuation request, followed by the $6.7 million, and you'll see the components of what made up that $6.7 million. Within capital outlay, there's 3 different pieces. Within the capital request, there's 3 different pieces, starting with the $1,020,000 for capital outlay, $7.9 million for projects from 24 to 499, and then there's 3 different pieces that tie out to the total CIP of 153.6, the new construction, the equipment of $8.6 million, and lastly, the maintenance projects I just went over, 41.3. That makes the total capital request 162.5, and the total budgetary request of just under $255 million for next year. So as it stands right now, provided that the board adopts the budget tonight, that will be what goes over to the county tomorrow. and what Dr. Kapicki and I will discuss with the commissioners on Thursday. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Are there any questions, board members? Ms. Escobar?
Can you go back to the last slide?
Sure.
The timeline.
Yeah, oops, sorry. There we go.
So just for people who are watching, if we approve this tonight, and then you go to the county commission, we wait until June to hear from them.
That's when they will adopt their budget for 24-25. That's right.
And let's say they don't give us everything that we're asking for, then, and historically they haven't, on all, it depends on what category, to be fair. What do we do next?
So at that point, if I may, June 17th is a county board meeting, so we'll know June 18th. And when they don't give us, well, let's not assume, let's assume they give us everything, it's a good day, right? We have to come back and readjust, and there'll be cuts. If we ask for 85 million, they give us 83 million, Mr. Penn and I will have to sit down and figure out which $2 million to cut. And that's kind of what we'll have to do.
And then you share that with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Right, because it has to be a revised adopted budget, and you may recall the real big adopted budget, when we tie in the state pieces and the federal pieces and everything else, doesn't usually happen sometime until the fall, right? But I think, like any good CFO, knowing that the history here, that we haven't gotten everything we've asked for, at some point you start thinking about what's on my contingency plan. You don't necessarily have to put that in writing, but you have it in the back of your head, where would I go first?
And I don't want to discuss that tonight. I just want to make clear to the public, because we had some questions, I think, from the media today who weren't clear on the process. And so if you've never seen this before, if you've never understood this before, that just we're going to go to the county commission, and again, this request is for their piece of our budget, because like you said, we get money from the federal government, we get money. The big chunk of our money comes from the state, so this is just a piece
This is a
of the
sliver
whole
of
pie.
that whole pie. And if you were to look at the budget resolution that was in tonight's consent agenda, that total pie is $505 million for this year, right? So this is a piece of what ties into that 505.
Okay, anything else, board members? Mr. Walter?
Thank you for the presentation. Can you go over on slide 7, the special revenue again? What is that?
Sure. All right. So within Fund 8, that's the way you would see it on our budget documents. That's our special revenue fund. There is revenue that we're allowed to use for general education purposes that is not specifically designated for a particular purpose. And the two biggest pieces of that are indirect costs that we assess to our federal grants. And a good way to think about indirect cost is overhead, right? There's direct cost and there's indirect cost. A direct cost would be somebody's salary and benefits. That's very clearly identifiable to that person that's working under a particular grant. What's indirect and harder to measure, so we use a percentage that is agreed to by the state and by the federal government, is a percentage of that grant will be applied to things like lighting, and other electricity, and heating, and the maintenance work that goes on in the building that those persons occupy. So it's the piece that's harder to track. Specific, okay, you get 10% of this light bill. That's not how it's done, right? But you take an overall percentage against all of those federal grants, and it comes back to you in indirect cost. The second big piece of that bucket is items that we're reimbursed by the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare for our healthcare services that we provide to our students that we're allowed to be reimbursed for by that program. And you may recall from a conversation we had a couple of board meetings ago that I was getting concerned that we were owed $2.2 million that was all in arrears at this point. We got a $250,000 check the other day, which is good progress, right? But it's not fully the 2.2. So I've put out feelers to the state saying, well, where's our money? But it's those kind of things where we're allowed to use those funds in a way that we can cover some of the costs that would otherwise be in that instructional services line at the top of the page.
Thank you for that. We just haven't really explained that in prior budget and prior years, so I appreciate you highlighting that. I also appreciate you separating the charter school funding, because that's essentially a pass-through.
It is exactly that, right.
Does it say how many students that equals?
had it somewhere, because we had to develop the number. I will get that to
So
you.
I'm sure you'll be asked by the county for that one.
Yes.
And then,
And there's,
I don't want to, I have it, I just
there's
don't have it.
there's two pieces to that. Remember, there's growth in the ADM for the charter schools, and there's also growth in what the county funds us, because it's a component of both. The county will have to give on a per pupil basis the same amount of dollars to the charters that they give us.
okay, we just want to make sure that it's passed through and not something we're going to have to cut if we don't get the full.
No, they're required to do that, and we've tried to be as conservative as we can with our estimates there.
Okay, and then to the salary study, I haven't seen the salary study. Are we going to get to see what that is prior to it? I mean, we've
So
got a
one of-
number
one of
there,
the-
but I've not seen the study. And
Yeah,
how
one of the conversations that we've been having is to be very careful about what we present on the salary study, mostly because we don't have funding for it, right? And so there's a concern around setting people's expectations around something that we can't deliver if we don't get funding for it. Now, Dr. Williams and I, as recently as about an hour ago, were working on something to go out to the board and to the county commissioners, because again, we need to get that funding that would at least give you directionally the ranges and the employees that would be affected by it. I'm anticipating it's in Dr. Kapicki's hands right now for review. My hope is to be able to share that with you tomorrow, which would then allow me to go communicate that to the county commissioners as well. But I'm trying to be very thoughtful about the fact that I don't want to put numbers out there that I can't back up unless we get the funding. That's not a position you want to be in as a head of human resources or as a CFO.
And to be clear to the board, I have not seen it to sit down and go over it. We just basically, late this evening, we received it prior to the board. Actually, right around the board meeting time. So we will go over that, myself, Dr. Williams, and Mr. Penn tomorrow to prepare for the county budget meeting. I will forward that to the board tomorrow morning.
So is it a placeholder at 2.6, or is that the actual?
Well, that's
what's
what
already
we've
been
identified.
calculated?
That's what we've identified it would cost us to implement the recommendations of it.
Okay. Yeah, again, and I've said this numerous years, this is really just a list of needs for the school system. You know, it's a huge increase over what we've been funded for this year, and it's, you know, we shouldn't have an expectation that we're going to get it all back, because it's all local tax dollars. 5% sounds reasonable to me, but anyway, to me, it's a list of needs, because again, it goes to our county commissioners make that decision on what gets funded and what doesn't, or how much they're going to fund. And there's a lot here, and all that's sort of, you know, reevaluation year and everything else. So it's highly unlikely that they're going to be looking to increase our budget substantially. So.
Well, one of the things you might have remembered from the outset is I wanted to present to the public and to you what I thought our needs were, working with Dr. Kapicki and the rest of the team, and all that was 150 people. Whether or not we get the funding is, as you said, up to the county commissioners. But I wanted people to be very clear about what I thought our needs were going to be for next year.
Okay, so that's what we're presenting as our list of needs for the school system. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 budget as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Treadaway, a second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The budget is adopted as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to 13.02, our 10-year capital plan. Mr. Tim Louder. Good evening, Mr. Louder.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Kapicki. As we presented last week the capital plan to you, I am here to answer any questions you may have that may have arisen since we had a pretty good discussion last week. So if you have any further questions, I'm here to hopefully can answer those for you.
Any questions, board members, about the capital plan? Mr. Walter?
Yeah, I missed the presentation last week. I apologize for that. I did read through it. And again, I don't think it's something that's in the right sequence. Do you think that we need to have our replacement for Culture and Web up top? Don't think that the pre-K center is something that we need to be focused on as number 2. We have other items that are a higher priority. We also have issues with equity with some of our middle schools, larger middle schools without auditoriums. That's not addressed here either. So I'll probably be voting no for this.
As I explained last week, the reason pre-K center is number 2 and replacement is number 3 is because those items have been funded.
Any other questions, board members? Okay. So I need a motion to approve the 10-year capital plan as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Floyd, a second by Mr. Treadaway. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
The 10-year capital plan is approved as presented. Thank you. We'll move to 13.03, the construction manager at risk recommendation for Mary Frances Wall pre-K replacement. Again, Mr. Louder.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Do
Madam
you
Chair.
have anything you want to discuss about
There's nothing
that?
more than, I would just reiterate, construction department's recommendation is Lyle's Construction Company of Concord, North Carolina's construction manager at risk for the Mary Frances Wall replacement project.
Okay, board members, you've got a matrix that you can look at. Any questions, board members? Mr. Walter?
Yeah, what was the timeline for this? When did we put this out?
Put this out about a month ago and received it 2 weeks ago.
So it was advertised a month ago, put out 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions about this? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion that we approve the construction manager at risk recommendation for Mary Frances Wall pre-K replacement.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Floyd, a second by Ms. Escobar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? No. Okay, we will move to 14.01,
Thank you.
where I call for a motion that the meeting be adjourned. I have a motion by Ms. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.